Welcome back, Bridgewater College Teacher Education Program students. We're continuing to build our WordPress website, and today we're going to focus on the right-hand side of the page. You may notice that the right-hand side of the page has some items on here which probably are of little interest to us. And not only do they appear on the first page, but actually if you switch to a different page, they're on every page. So this right-hand column is always on each page, and so what we want to make sure is it has the information in it that we want, and we get rid of the things over here that we don't want. These are all called widgets, and we manage the widgets from the dashboard. So let's go back. I've already signed in as an administrator, and so I need to select widgets. Over here on the right-hand side, you see what's listed as the main sidebar. That is the right-hand column of our website. And right now there's a search item, there's recent posts, recent comments, archives, and so forth. If we decide we really don't care to have these up here, for example, recent comments, I don't have any comments, and even if I did, I don't care that they're on every page. So I think I'll just drag that off. And then I think I'm not interested in having the archives there. I'll drag that off. And I think I'll even drag the recent posts off. Let me just leave these three. Notice that you don't even need to save this time. It automatically remembers this. If I go back and visit my site, you'll see that I no longer have those items that were over here on the side. Now we need to think ahead though. I don't like all this meta stuff here. The RSS feeds and the comments and all that. But there was an important link down here, and it's the link that we used in order to sign in to be able to make changes. That is the administrator sign in. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to get rid of the meta widget and instead put a link up here at the top of the page where I will sign in as the administrator when I want to make changes to my site. Of course, no one else will be able to sign in because they won't know the password. But I'm going to put that link up here at the top and get rid of the meta widget down here at the bottom. So let's see how to do that first. If I go back to my dashboard, one thing you may not have noticed is that the website up here has changed. It used to just say H Hill. In fact, if I go back and look just at the site, you don't see that suffix of WP admin. But the minute I come to the dashboard, I have that WP-admin. Well, it turns out this is the website for an administrator. So let's copy that. Let's just highlight that and copy that. I'm going to go back to the menu item. Remember we did this in the previous screencast. I come to Appearance, Menus, Custom Links is an item that we skipped last time. Let's paste in, I'm just going to use Control V to paste in the link, and I'm going to call this the admin login. I'm going to add that to my menu. It's showing up last, and that's fine. I'll just put this over to the right hand side out of the way because the only person who's going to use this is me. I'll save my menu. And now let's look and see how our site looks. Now we have an admin login. Let's see how it works. To see how it works, first I need to log out because I am signed in as administrator. So let's log out. Okay, I'm no longer signed in as an administrator. Let's go to our site as if we were a visitor coming in from the outside, which you know would be wp.bridgewater.edu/ in my case H Hill. Now, notice that I can't make any changes. I'm an outside visitor, but if I click here, I now can sign in. And no one else is going to know my password, so now I'm signing into where I can edit my website. So I hope what you see that we've just done is we've remove the need of having this meta widget down here by adding our login up here to the top. In fact, we're going to add another item here to the top in a minute. Let's do that now. Let's go back to our menus and let's put another link. How about a link to the Bridgewater Moodle? The Bridgewater Moodle site is cms.bridgewater.edu. And we'll just call this BC Moodle. So I want to add that to my menu. In fact, I'd actually prefer that it be before the admin login. So let's pull the admin login down last. Save our menu. Let's go back and review our site. So now I've got welcome, our posting page, what's happening, our syllabus, the About Me page. When I click on BC Moodle, we're going to leave WordPress and go to the Moodle login. And sure enough, here's our Moodle login. Let's go back. And here's our admin login. Since I'm already logged in, it takes me to the dashboard. So I like the way that the top of the screen is starting to look now. I've got an external link along with some internal links. Again, the BC Moodle is an external link. All the rest of the links are internal WordPress links. Well, we've removed the need of having this meta down here, so let's get rid of it. I go to Widgets, and I drag meta off into the widget area. When I go back and look at my site, now I no longer see the meta widget. Now I left the categories one, and let me describe why I've left the categories widget there. Our what's happening, if you recall, is where we post frequently changing items. For example, we may have a homework post where day to day we're putting up new homework for students to get to, or information about field trips or projects or whatever. And we also created categories. So I have 3 posts thus far. You may remember I made a post about EDUC 370. And I also created a category called EDU 370. So this post was put in that EDUC 370 category. I made a post about help in WordPress. I also created a category called WordPress. So this went into the WordPress category. And the post that I did most recently actually applies to both, so I put it in both categories. Now, imagine that the year has gone on and you've got hundreds of posts. You would have some classified as homework, some classified as projects, and so forth. If you only want to see the homework post and nothing else, you would click on the homework category. In my case, if I only want to see those posts related to WordPress, I click here. And now only the 2 posts that have to do with WordPress show up. Likewise, if I click on Education 370, I only see the posts related to 370. If I want to see all of the posts, I go back to the posting page, what's happening, and that shows me all of them. So I think I'll leave the categories widget over here to the side because that might be useful later on. I am going to put it pretty far down on the page though, because I don't think it will be quite as useful as some of the others. I've also kept the search widget here, and this just enables us to type in a keyword and look for that on our WordPress site. So for example, if I put in the word Bridgewater, how about Bridgewater College, and do a search for it, it's going to find where Bridgewater College shows up. It turns out in the About Me page. Okay, so it turns out I'm going to leave the search widget. I'm going to leave the categories widget. I've removed everything else, but I want to add some new widgets. Let's go back to our widgets under the widget link. I would like to add a widget that has my contact information in it. I would like to add a widget that has a calendar. Let's just put the calendar in first. Let's drag it over. In fact, I'm going to put it first. You may give the calendar a title, but you don't have to. In fact, I don't think I'm going to give it a title. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. When I look at my site, notice I've got a calendar now appearing first. I like that. My search has been bumped down, and so is categories. Let's go back and add another widget. This time we're going to add a text widget. And I'll put this second. So I'm going to go over here and drag the text widget second in my list. For a title, you don't have to give it a title, but I'm going to call mine Contact Info. So I'm going to put my contact information here so that when a person comes to my website, they can find my contact information. I'll put my phone number. And I'll put my email address. Now, take my word for it. You want to check this box called automatically add paragraph. If you don't, it just sort of runs this stuff together and is not very readable. So take my word for it. You want to check that box, automatically add paragraphs. Let's save. Now let's go look at our site. My calendar is first. My contact information is second. Then the search, then the categories. The site's starting to look a lot better. Oh, here's a minor thing. Notice that my email address isn't hot linked. I click on it, nothing happens. I would like for it to pop up a email addressed to me, but it's not doing that. So how do I do that? I'm going to show you a trick on how you can make that email address a hot link. Let's go back to our widgets for a second, and I'll look at the text widget. I'll come to here. I'm going to delete that line, and I'm going to save it. Now the trick that I'm going to show you is a little unusual. I'm going to pretend I'm creating a new post. I'm actually not going to quite create a new post, but I'm going to pretend that I am. I'm going to type in my email address here, hhill@bridgewater.edu. Did you notice that when I hit the enter key, it suddenly became a hot link? And the reason is that the posting page, and for that matter, a new page text, automatically understood that that should have been a hot link. But I can tell you that if I simply copy and paste this into my widget, it's still not going to be a hot link. In order for it to be hot link, what you have to paste in is that fancy HTML language. And of course, the advantage of using WordPress is that you're able to produce a website without having to know the HTML language. But here's a case where you need to know a little bit of HTML language in order to post a hot link. But actually, you don't have to know the language. If I come to the top and click text, it turns out it has already converted my typing into the proper HTML code. So now I'm going to copy that code. I highlight it and right click and say copy. I'm now going to go back to my widgets. I go over to my text. I'm paste in, Control V to paste, this crazy HTML code. Save. Now when I go to my site, notice that my email address is hot. And now if I click on it, it indeed will expect me to open up an email addressed to that person. I'm actually not going to do that, but I've made this a hot link. So that was a little tricky. Our website is now looking pretty good. I've got calendar. I've got my contact information with the hot link. I've got my search button and my category selection here at the bottom. And it works for every single page that I go to. It's all there. Syllabus, it's all there. You can experiment with widgets. No one's going to tell you which widgets you should use and which ones you shouldn't. But in my case, I found these to be handy widgets to put on each page. Hope you have a good time experimenting with widgets. We'll see you on the next screencast.